Welcome to the Lockin Podcast, where we talk about everything and anything media. Now, today we have very important guests. Maybe you can introduce yourself and you can tell us what you do for Lockin Studios.
Kwa majina naitwa Job Mwandembe. Hizo ni jina za ID. Kwa ground wananiita Mkunga. For Lockin Studios, I'm part of the visual creatives team. I'm a videographer in the team.
Yeah. Thank you. My name is Kelvin Kamau, to be precise. Manina ndio majina ID vile Job amesema. And I am a filmmaker. Watu wanajua kama Kamau Films. And for Lockin Studios, I'm a filmmaker, photographer, part-time graphic designer. Yeah.
Now, I'll be your host, Black Walker, lakini kwa ID jina ni Kemboy, ingine msijali. Anyway, so today we are going to be talking mostly about the challenges that maybe once in a while tunapata as creatives kwa industry, whether as a photographer or as a videographer. Na who else other than these two guys, wenye at least they are somewhere in terms of learning, in terms of experience, they're already somewhere kwa industry. So, Kel, unaweza tuambia, what is your experience kwa field? And what is the hardest part of getting first clients especially?
I don't know, umetuliza troubles we have. Is it because tunakama shida? But hopefully not. But when you talk about getting your first clients, especially when you're just starting out, it can be really tough. I think it can be tough. It was tough for me. Probably it was tough for you guys. I don't know about you guys, but for me it was really hard. It takes time. But one, I don't know if I should give a sort of like my experience with that. It was hard in the beginning, but once I knew more creatives in the industry, because you find that the jobs we do, most probably somebody else has done it before and they need assistance with maybe something. So getting to know fellow creatives in the industry has really helped me in that you find that my first client was not my first client as Kamau. It was probably Kemboy's 10th client, but that client was my first client. It becomes easier for me to learn from Kemboy and also to learn from that experience. So yeah, that's for me.
For you, Jobu, if we were to ask, do you think the industry is, should we say, is it harder or easier for beginners today compared to when you were climbing up the ladder at the beginning?
So if I'm to look at the industry like right now, from a perspective of like today, I'd say it's both easy and hard at the same time. Easy in the sense that because you are in the service industry, I don't know what you offer. I can only know what you offer through someone or some previous work. It's in the service industry, it's majorly referrals. So if I see you doing some work, then I can know what you do and how good you do it. So then I can refer you to someone. So it's easier now for people coming in the sense that you can just go online and see who is doing what and how are they doing it, so you can reach out to those people. Like for instance, right now you can go onto our pages and then reach out from there. Then you can start a conversation from there. Again, it is hard in the sense that everyone is doing the same thing and people are doing it even cheaper. You see, there's a time we're having a conversation and it was like, msee anasema, jim nataka kucharge sijui, I don't know, 50k sijui to do photos for what? Msee akozeleza, me I just want 10k. Because they don't feel the pain of it. They haven't bought the gear. The gear has been bought for them. So what they're doing, they just want money for now. So that's what makes it harder for people coming in right now. Like the bar has been set high, even not just even the budget part, but even the creative and the type of content that is being shot out there.
That's a very interesting perspective. Now, when I go back to my time, which is not so long ago, but not so no, mbona mnacheka bana. Not so long ago, but not so juicy sana. But in the early 2010s, what I can say is getting into the industry was really tough. I think the technology first of all ilikuwa inaanza kuevolve. I remember those days ulikuwa ukiona msee na DSLR camera. It used to be a very crazy moment. Just handling it, kufidget na gear za wasee wenye maybe wako ahead of you in the industry. And what really stood out for me during that time was, I think because it was so hard to start and come across gear, it became easier for us to take time to learn the actual, let me say, the physics and everything behind photography. And shout out to the guy I started with mwenye tulipeana psych tukaanza, Moses Wabwire Photography. We kind of pushed ourselves to really learn photography from all the depths you could go into. Again, remember, during that time, it's not like searching was easy. Nowadays, you can go to like prompt kwa AI, Meta AI, vitu kama ChatGPT, and you can really get information quickly. Back then, I remember we used to share notes from a guy in, is it Canada or the US? Alikuwa anaitwa Paijirsa. And he had this photography 101 lessons, videography, handling your camera and nini. We learned a lot from such creatives. And it was very hard to come even across those kind of content. So I can say for me, what I see is nowadays it's a bit easier because of technology has grown and people can easily access most of these equipment. Let me start with you, Jobu. What do you think is that one challenge that every videographer has to face at some point in their career?
I feel like most of these problems stem from low budgets, in the sense that msi ako na budget like a fifth of what should be done or a tenth of what should be done. But again, like for instance, when I was starting out, at some point I used to do music videos. I did a lot of music videos, and then sasa msee anakuja na ngoma ya calligraph, anasema anataka ngoma ya calligraph. Ngoma ya calligraph imeshutiwa na 1 million, let's say, for instance. Like hiyo back hiyo time wakuta maybe like 1 million. Yako na 10,000 hata haitoshi hata logistics. Anataka an exact thing. Like hata tukisema by the way I'm going to shoot it for free, cover the cost, you can't even cover the cost. But that is what you are looking at. So now may I say low budgets is the problem, is the cause of, or like it's a ripple thing. Once akona low budget, akona high expectations kwanza.
That's true.
Haiwezekani juu logistics pekee hata zinamchapa ametoka. Kitu ya pili, I'll expect same deliveries na hiyo ingine. So kazi haiwezi kuwa equal na hiyo ingine. Kitu ya tatu ni hapo hiyo 10,000 yenye amesema anakupea. Akona labda 5,000 like hautapata hiyo pesa yote. So like it's just a lot. Juu au wenye uko na hiyo pesa ndogo ndio anataka atakusumbua tena kulipa. Yeah. That's for me, I feel like that's like the major cause of which, like if you ukishajiondoa kwa hiyo bracket uanze ku attract those high paying clients, unaanza kuona vitu zinaanza kuchange kiasi juu hata yanaelewa, okay, niko na hii budget, haitoshi kufanya ile kitu, but tunaweza fanya kitu inakaa hivi, and this is what you're looking at. Like I feel like those are the more sane, for lack of a better word, those are like the more sane clients you can work with. Yeah.
Now for you, Kel, let me ask, have you experienced these unrealistic expectations from clients, especially the difficult clients? Of course we've all faced this.
So I'll speak from my perspectives. I shoot a lot of weddings. I'm a wedding videographer or filmmaker. And when you talk about difficult clients, it's that we are living in an age where literally you can search up everything on the internet. And like you see, mse goes online and searches for the best destination weddings. Anaona wamefanyiwa a certain kind of decor. And the kind of photography that was done on that wedding is top tier. Let's say ni wedding ya Prince wa England. You can see that on the internet. And you come to Kenya and you want the same. But then you forget the fact that everything that you're doing going back to what Job is saying, has a budget. Your expectations hazimatch na budget unatuambia. Unaniambia for your wedding you want 2 videographers na drone. We all know how much that costs.
Sure.
And let's hold that. If you research about the kind of weddings that are happening Maju, you research the deco, you research the design work. Kindly also research about the photography and videography. Those guys are paying to get that kind of images. Then you unataka from Maju, because you divide here what you want versus what you're willing to spend.
Do you think videographers in our market undervalue their work? And because now pricing and undervaluation is becoming sort of the biggest challenge that most videographers don't want to talk about, because maybe our upbringing normally is about, hey, do not make money the first thing you... And I think that is very wrong, because it has made us, in most cases, crumble back to, okay, sawa, your budget uko nayo, it's fine. And then now the expectations go so high. And then after the job, the client let me say, for lack of a better way of putting it, anakuruka, anasema hapana, so we agreed we'll do this and this and that. But hata wewe mwenyewe umejifinya kwa budget yako, logistics hakuna. But in relation to that, when we turn down these jobs, kuna wase bado ufanya hiyo job, whether you turn it down or you don't. So do you think some of the people out here are undervaluing their work?
I don't necessarily think it's an undervaluation, because it's the same case we see in every other industry, even in the automotive industry. There's levels to each and every sort of like service or service or goods that you're willing to get. When I was starting out, there was somebody who was willing to pay me 5,000 shillings or 500 shillings for... Why are you laughing?
No pointing fingers.
No
pointing fingers. Go
but you were willing to pay me 5,000 shillings for your wedding.
Yeah.
And I agree, because that's where my level of expertise was at. At the same time, you are looking at industry, people who've been in the industry for 5-10 years. I don't expect you to go pay them 5,000 shillings.
Yeah.
The same, I'd accept the 5,000 shillings. And if you're comfortable with my services, because of course, ukitaka Land Cruiser, mtu anaendesha TX, trust me, ajainunua 1 million shillings.
Yeah, sure.
And there's a reason ameinunua whatever amount they've spent on that money, and they're comfortable with that. Mtu anaendesha Fielder, kuna reason anaendesha hiyo gari, and they're comfortable with that. Same thing I think about our industry. If you're willing to hire somebody like me, and you're willing to pay for this amount, then that shows that you trust my work at that level. If you're willing to go for Job or Kimboy, that shows that you're comfortable with their work at that budget. So I think undervaluation, I think whatever price you put on yourself, that's your value. It's not an undervaluation, it's you valuing your work. If you value it at 5,000, then that's your valuation. You should be comparing to other people. You'll get, I think, your ideal market at every price point.
So I think when I say undervaluation is you're currently shooting, let's say, on an A7 IV and maybe a standard Sigma lens. Someone else has FX6 and probably, let's say, an 85 G Master, 1.2, 1.4 mil. Now, let me ask, if that guy charges the same as you, who do you think the client will pick? And now that is where I meant, do you think some people are undervaluing their work? Because now you have the N7 IV and someone else has...
But I don't think it's even possible for them to be charging the same as me. It's either they are undervaluing their value or I'm overvaluing my...
Okay.
I don't know if you get me. Siji kama na beat around the bush pia sana, but that's my thought on that.
No, it's fine. I mean, your view is your view. Now, Jobu, let me get back to you and ask, in the same light, what do you think as far as valuing your work goes in terms of negotiating rates with clients who don't understand pricing, the concept of pricing in the current market?
Yeah, first of all, majorly like when you're negotiating with a new client, you first have to, like from a very early stages of a conversation with them, you can now get to understand, like, do they know what they want? Do they have an idea of what they want, or they just don't know? Like kuna mwenye anasema nataka tu kuja nipige picha, then now you start asking, okay, unataka picha za nini, how does that look like? Then from there now you can start gauging, okay, huyu ni msi anajua kitu anataka, so kama anajua kitu anataka, this is how it goes. Na kuna mwenye hajui kabisa, so huyo pengine akuja anasema mimi niko na 20k, then you start explaining like just paint like a small picture of what this whole thing looks like. It's not just taking photos, it's a whole art in itself and a business at the same time. So that's when I start, okay, juu nataka hivyo, this is how it goes. The reason you're charging this and this is because of this and this and this and this. If they are willing to get into your shoes and understand how this whole thing is, the better. If they're not, give them time to go and rethink. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes unafika ile point of ski kufanya job. Unafeel, and it comes with maybe doing the same thing over and over and over, and at the same time maybe umefanya sana hadi unafeel maze hii kitu, what else can I really do? Because let's face it, unaenda unapigia simu, negotiation, enlighten clients on our expectations versus their budgets and their expectations versus what we offer. And then once you're on the field, it's the same thing we do over and over, and then unaenda una shoot, you have probably 500 gig of data, unarudi unaweka kwa machine yako, unafungua software whichever you use, DaVinci whatever, you do the same thing, unamaliza, you've shot in log, you have to color. So you are going through the whole process, unaanza ku create nodes. Zile nodes zenye umezoea ifanyi, unaanza ku create a whole other chain of nodes, and then you are done, unaingia deliver page, unapeana job. Now you do this, it excites, and then it gets to a point umeifanya sana, inaanza kufeel nikaa kukula ugali na sukuma leo, kesho kutwa. So it comes with fatigue. So how do you guys make sure you stay creative and you are constantly producing content either for clients or for yourself?
It's, for me, I'd say it's still a work in progress. Like it's an ongoing system of advancement each and every time. Like for instance, kuna times zenye nikisikia tu hiyo sort of like a creative block, ile unaamka tu hivi unaangalia hiyo kazi unafunga tu software, unaingia pale una watch movie na siku imeisha. Like I can't help, like hakuna kitu naona. Kiona hivyo either tu nilale, like ulale tu completely. Wenye Kolo sema touch grass lala, ama I wake up, go for a run, like just do something to reset, go for a run, just go somewhere completely different from that area first, and then come back. Maybe it helps for me most of the time.
Now this is a very I don't know, it's a topic that most creatives sometimes maybe don't really take the time to look at it. But think of it this way, everyone works from Monday to Friday. Majority of people are 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. Friday evening, Kel, you go to your place, you're going through your checklist, lens check, card check, charger check, nini, stabilizers. You go through all those things, lights, nini, in the evening on Friday. And most of your friends and your relatives and your acquaintances are winding down. Wewe saa una pump kabisa, unataka kutoka kwenda job. Now, you know, something we don't talk about is sometimes we miss this, like personally, sometimes kuna family gatherings. They are normally done on Saturdays. Hato mimi, I've gone for a gig in Turkana. Meenda kushoot documentary, tuko huko hadi Friday. Haya, saa zingine tumeitwa wedding, tuko Mombasa. Meenda kufanya wedding Mombasa. Gathering inafanyika Eldoret, inafanyika wapi. And you get to hang in a situation where unaanza ku lose touch na family, una lose touch with your close friends. Inaanza hiyo distance tu naturally inaanza kutokea. And what's your take on that? Because this is an experience that most creatives don't talk about, but it's something we experience every other day.
I think first of all, it's very real. Na hivyo ndio kuko.
Yeah.
And ojili unaambiwa you breathe to live, and if you don't breathe you will not live. It is that way and you can't change it. Same thing to this. Most weddings happen on Saturdays, and the reason watu wameiweka Saturday juu Monday to Friday wako kazi, so pia wameitafuta their friends and family wakagather hiyo saa tu utaki kugather. So that's the way it is. And to be in this industry, I always complain. That's the way it is. That's the sacrifice you have to make. I don't you talk about gatherings. Mimi there was a day Nyashinsky alikuwa na concert Eldoret, sijai heal, nilimiss. Luckily he has another one coming soon. So it's a thing, and that's the way it is. I don't think ati kuna solution ama a way to the, and that's the way things are. And if you want to be a photographer, you have to make peace with the fact that you will work very many Saturdays and Sundays of your life.
And sometimes over the weekends, family is like, hey, maze tungeenda mahali hivi hata to hang out for the weekend. And then maybe if your family especially is working during the week and then you're working over the weekend, kuonana ni ile ya dinner tu, rosafi at home. Maybe merudi home, now that's the time you're having dinner, and then everyone goes to bed in the morning as usual. So I know it's a challenge that we face as creatives, but I think most of us have accepted, and I mean your family has to accept, because especially you are the breadwinner, lazima uende utafute hiyo mkate. Now what I would say again, based on what we've talked about, it's very easy in the process to lose that creative juice and the passion for this work. It gets to a point you've done things over and over hadi una feel maza, I want to quit, I want to try farming, I want to try acha nifungue hoteli nijaribu, acha nifanye ile. However, industry has some form of, I don't know, it's just so adhesive, like iwezi kuachilia, unajua. Utafanya hizo vitu, but the main thing you'll be doing hata kufungua hoteli itakuwa kupiga picha food. So you'll still go and do na kufanya videos kwa hoteli yako all the time, hadi you're like, you know what guys, wacha niuzie msee hoteli tu nifanye hii kitu. And I think when you are in the process, what I would like to tell most people in the industry is everyone goes through this cycle of losing you lose that creative edge at some point. Una feel like unaenda unawatch videos za say YouTube, you're like maze sasa mimi ufanya nini? Kuna peer pressure, alafu kuna gear pressure. Gear pressure. We often feel pressure to buy gear. And it's not just gear zenye tunatumia are very expensive. There's a day I was explaining to someone just the SD card. So when you tell someone he SD card ina cost 54,000, they're like, card si kuna yenye nimenunua juzi hapa chini niliweka kwa simu ama sijui nilienda kufanyia nini, ili ni cost sijui 640 shillings. I'm like, oh well, yeah, but that brings me to this point of gear pressure. Gear pressure, sometimes we have so much pressure, unaona wasa wanafanya unboxing huko nje, wewe uko tu hapa with your quote unquote your old gear. And let me ask you, Kel, do you think your workflow depends more on gear? Is it gear, or is it in your skill and storytelling and things around those?
I think it's a balance of both. It's a balance of having the right equipment and also at the same time knowing how to use that equipment to tell whatever story you want to tell. Because again, we have a level that we aspire to reach, and to get to that level, you rarely find people using entry level kind of equipment to shoot a certain kind of documentary. You meet even some clients who tell you, kindly list us the kind of equipment, and you'll be scored and judged based on the equipment that you list down there, because of course they know too that quality work comes with quality equipment. It is true that equipment plays a huge role in our kind of work we produce. And then you find that the reason they want probably you to have 4K cameras is because they're going to view that footage on 4K screens.
Sure.
And I've had this experience of shooting on cameras that are not that level, and then having my work viewed on screens that are two levels higher than my cameras.
115-inch screens.
And let me tell you, QLED zitakuonesha, utaonekana. And it is true.
You can literally count the pixels.
Yes, unaziona hivi. Unaona mchele yako ni kama sherehe yako umeandaa mbele ya watu hapo. It is true. And upon the equipment, you really appreciate kwamba yes, kuna hiyo pressure ya kutaka kununua the latest equipment, but one thing pia, it's not si ati lazima ikuwe latest. A74 ni ya mwaka gani? FX3 ni ya mwaka gani? But you can still get very good footage out of them. Not very good, really exemplary good footage out of an FX3 and out of an A74. So ni kweli gear lazima ukue nayo to reach a certain level of production. Na ni kweli even Netflix kuna kamera za kwambia, unless your movie is shot with this, we'll not show it on our website. Second thing, sasa junior blend of both equipment and skill. No, the second part is skill. Bila hiyo nayo hata nikupatia the best cameras, you'll still struggle. I know I've struggled with it because unapata sometimes your skill it's very easy right now to walk into a shop in any street of Nairobi and walk out with a really, really good camera. If you have the money, you can buy it. But it's very hard to buy skill. I don't think it's even possible to buy skill. It's built over time. And hiyo ndio sasa utaona msee hata unampea kamera 20 years ago na bado anakupigia picha, unashangaa, was this shot on 5D original. Lakini unaangalia mtu image ya like wow, hii ulishoot na R5 Mark II, si ndio? Ambia hapana, shoot na 5D Mark III because of the skill they have.
The hype around gear versus financial pressure that it comes with. How do you go about the same?
The level of knowledge I have right now isn't that which I used to possess some time back, in the sense that I not only view photography as an art, I view it as an art and as a business in the same way. So if you're looking at purchasing new gear, I'll be like, okay, that's good. So how then do we realize return on investment on this equipment? It's not just for you guys to see, akona gear mpya. But again, ni sawa niko na gear mpya, it's helping me to achieve this. So I have unlocked new levels of art that I couldn't before. But now how is it helping me? How am I realizing return on investment this way? Just sasa huwezi kuona hiyo gear 600k, that is the cheapest gear uko nayo, but bado unafanya job za 10k. So now lazima tunaangalia, and that's the perspective that I usually look at it. Okay. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Okay.
The industry is getting really crowded, and every other person wants to be doing something around our media spaces and things like that. What is your take on content creators versus filmmakers or videographers? Because you're technically in both.
There's a very thin line between the two. Most at times people interchange the two or confuse one for the other. Not necessarily interchanging, they might even confuse one for the other, in the sense that you might think that because I create content, I'm a filmmaker. I feel like if you say you're a filmmaker, you understand the professional bit of it, the technicalities behind it. Content creators, most of the time, you are just creating content for a particular thing. So, like for instance, I consume a lot of TikToks. Now ukiingia TikTok utapata a lot of content creators. But again, if you watch content ya content creator na content ya filmmaker, there's a difference. Like you can see there's something this person is trying to achieve. Case in point, if we do like a 1 minute thing for a content creator versus a filmmaker. For the filmmaker, atakuwa anatry kusema vitu, even just using the lighting that they have, from the lighting, from the color, from the sound that they are using, everything. But from the content creator, it's just getting the message to the other person. Like me, nimekaa, nimeongea, imeisha. Ama nimekuonyesha kitu na kuonyesha, imeisha. But this other guy will try and show, even from the type of movements of the camera, like, I'm not using a stabilizer right now because I want you to feel a certain way. Yeah. I'm using this type of lens because of this. Like, it's a whole science. You can explain the science behind it. But the content creator, I feel like it's more or less just creating content. Just like that, creating content.
Okay, that's... Because I asked because I know that you're kind of in the content creation side. And that's majorly what you do even for the company, on behalf of the company for our clients. And also there is videographers. But my take on it is, I think as a filmmaker, because I never create content personally, I think like as a filmmaker, my work is to cover content that exists. Okay? I think my take would be, a company calls in, they're like, so we have this documentary and we want to do this and that. So they've already given me the content. But I think in my take, content creators' work is to create something out of nothing. And sometimes content creators are underestimated and thought as wanatafuta tu fame and, you know, just being on screen. But really, these guys do a lot of work, because creating content is the toughest job, because you are creating something out of nothing. And my take would be, for example, a client tells you, just do something for us. In your company yetu, this is what we do. We ona kitu utafanya. I think that's something for content creators. But as a filmmaker, huwezi niita uniambie tu wewe ona kitu utafanya. I'll be like, what do you want? Tell me what you want. What is the end product? What, like, nikimaliza hii kufilm hii kazi yako, ni nini hiyo unataka kuachieve? Do you feel that the industry is getting too crowded? Well, whether it's content creation or with filmmakers, and that I feel like we have this thing of oversaturation coming in and standing out. So what do you do to stand out as Kamau Films or as Lockin Studios?
First of all, I think the reason we human beings do something is because there is a return on that. Yeah. The reason there were so many TV commercials in that era period between 2000 and probably 2015 is because most people, that's the way most of us consumed media, through our televisions. And so during that time, there were less content creators, I'd say, but maybe more filmmaker storytellers. I mean, if you wanted to tell a story, you'd rather go to a filmmaker who makes films for TV rather than a content creator. We didn't have phones, so we couldn't see the content. Right now, the reason we have so many content creators is because, first of all, the ease of making the content. Every one of us here has a phone. What can that phone do? That phone can create content and to view content. It is that simple. The reason there's so much people doing content is because even sisi who consume the content, bado tunaongezeka. So I think itaendelea kuwa. I was looking at the space of weddings, and 5 years ago, I don't think we even knew of something called wedding content creators. But right now, it's one of the highest growing sectors of wedding coverage, shooting content on an iPhone, and there are benefits to that. And it's beautiful that even we're getting many more ways of showcasing the beauty of whatever it is whatever story we're telling. And now the case of standing out. I think in each and everything we do, filmmaking included, content creation included, I think there's a matter of preference. I'm sure each one of you has your favorite content creator talking about the same thing. You have a favorite content creator who talks about cars.
Yeah.
To me, it may be different.
Yeah.
You have a favorite content creator who talks about sports.
Yeah.
To me, it may be different.
Yeah.
But they're all talking about the same thing.
Sure.
So in case of standing out, I think it's a case of having your own style that people will gravitate towards, and it has a certain way of whatever kind of content you create, more people will be drawn to you that love and create the kind of content that you do. You sort of like have a common ground. So I don't think there's much to that apart from you creating the content that you like and you would actually consume.
Yeah.
And then people who would also create and consume that content will come to that.
Yeah. As a parting shot, what advice would you give the newbies coming into the industry?
First of all, I'd say kweli ni mbaya because of everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
But also that should not scare you from creating content or from making films. What I'd say, my parting shot is, what do you want to do? Just go and do it. You want to become a wedding filmmaker? Go and do it. You want to become a sports content creator? Go and do it. It is that simple. What do you want to do? You go and do it.
I'll take you back kidogo to where you started, and what's the one mistake you wish you had avoided earlier when you were starting your career?
I think I took a lot of time away from learning the basics. Like I was just doing bare minimum. So this is what I mean by taking a lot of time away from learning the basics. The basics are, for me, I feel like not just shika camera na washi on, na record na wachi hapo. Go ahead and learn. Kwa nini ina record? Kwa nini ina record? Kwa nini nikishoot na hii lens inakaa hivi? Kwa nini nikishoot na hii lens inakaa hivi? Kwa nini nikiweka hizi settings na nipia hivi? Kwa nini nikiweka hizi? So kwa nini wanasema ni log inamaanisha nini? Like those, get into that. Kwa nini this card inaweza shoot, kwa nini this other card haizi shoot hivi? Mbona hii light wanaweka this other side of this person? Mbona waseke hii side? Okay, hivi inamaanisha nini? Like those basic stuff. Ilikuwa tu unachukua kamera unawasha na ina record and I'm happy. Inaisha battery. Acha ni stop nitoe battery ni kingine. And I'm done. Tende niunganishe hizi clips na nimalize. Like getting into, I understand it's an art, but now getting into the science of the art, and once you understand the science of the art, it's easier now to progress that way. Like all these other things build on that. It's more or less like you're building a flat. So if you're building a flat, you have to go very deep into that. Then it's easier for you to rise as you go. Like for instance, like now, because you understand the basics, you keep your any camera unashika tu na unaangalia, hawa wana change shutter wapi, wana change aperture wapi, where do I change the ISO, and you go with it. Yeah.
There we have it from the professionals. Mimi leo nilikuwa tu mtu wa mkono. It's been nice. I think I've learned so much. Most of the things we've done today are questions that we've really been asked, especially when we go for events, for every sort of job. So if I wanted my son to join this, I think most of these things will answer some of the questions that they've had. Today we were talking about challenges. So I hope the next episode will be talking about maybe better stuff. But thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope we'll see you in the next one. Adios.
We shoot long.
We shoot long.
We shoot long.
Yeah.
It's the Lockin